Priya's voice echoed like a whisper in the empty house, a faint murmur that seemed to blend with the creaking of the old wooden floors. "Can you hear me? It's me, Priya." Her voice was filled with a desperate longing, a plea that seemed to hang in the air. She was like a ghost, flickering in and out of sight, her presence barely more than a shadow in the dim light. Vishu couldn't see her, couldn't hear her. He was oblivious to the spectral figure that watched him with sorrowful eyes. He was busy unpacking boxes in his new home, each item a piece of his new beginning, unaware of the past that lingered. He didn't know about the sad things that had happened there, the tragedies that had left their mark on the walls and floors. Priya watched him, her ghostly heart heavy with a longing she didn't understand, a sadness that seemed to seep into her very being. She saw him holding an old leather book, its cover worn and pages yellowed with age. It was her grandfather's journal, full of secrets and stories long forgotten, a relic of a time past. Vishu stopped unpacking and looked at the book, curiosity piqued by the mystery it held. Priya held her breath, shimmering like a heat wave, her form barely visible in the dim light. He opened the book, his fingers touching the old pages. A photo fell out, fluttering to the floor like a forgotten memory. Vishu bent down to pick it up, his eyes widening as he saw the image. "I have to go," he said suddenly, his voice tinged with urgency and confusion. He put the book in his bag, grabbed his jacket and ran out, leaving the house and its secrets behind. Priya saw the calendar on the wall dating back 3 months ago. Priya stayed in the room, her ghostly hand reaching for the place where the book had been. She needed to see that photo. She needed to know what scared Vishu. She felt he was the key to something important. But how could she talk to him if he couldn't see her? She followed him unseen as he hurried through the busy streets. The book felt heavy in his bag. He kept seeing the photo in his mind. Priya watched him, a mix of hope and worry in her ghostly eyes. She had been waiting for this moment, unsure of what would happen next. He seemed different now, restless and confused. The night seemed to weigh heavily on him, as if he could sense something was amiss. Was he starting to feel her near? Could he feel her watching him? The unease in his eyes suggested he might. The air got colder as Priya stood next to Vishu at the bus stop. She could almost reach out and touch him, but she hesitated. He didn't notice her, lost in the old book. The pages seemed to hold him captive, oblivious to the world around him. He held it tight, the leather cold in his hand. It was as if the book was a lifeline, grounding him in the present. He felt uneasy, like someone was watching him. Suddenly his phone rang, breaking the silence of the night. "Hey, I'm running late," his girlfriend said. Her voice was a welcome distraction from the eerie feeling that had settled over him. "Meet me at our usual coffee shop. I want a hazelnut latte." Her casual tone brought a sense of normalcy back to the moment. Vishu said okay, and put the book back in his bag. He stood up, ready to leave, but the feeling of being watched lingered. The warm coffee shop felt cozy as Vishu walked in. The familiar scent of freshly brewed coffee wrapping around him like a comforting blanket. The smell of coffee filled the air, mingling with the soft chatter of patrons and the gentle clinking of cups. He saw his girlfriend waving from their table, her smile brightening the dimly lit corner of the cafe. She looked at him with loving eyes, a silent conversation passing between them. But Vishu felt strange, like he was watching a movie of himself, detached and distant. He couldn't stop thinking about the uneasy feeling that had been gnawing at him all day. The book felt heavy in his bag, its presence a constant reminder of something he couldn't quite grasp. He took it out again, looking at the old photos, each one a window into a past he barely remembered. He stopped at a picture of a young woman in front of a house, her eyes hauntingly familiar. He saw something odd in the window behind her, a faint ghostly shape that sent a shiver down his spine. Priya watched him, her ghostly heart beating fast, hoping he would finally see her. Could he see her? In the reflection, the thought made her both excited and terrified. His eyes were wide with fear, and maybe he can see her. He looked around the cafe, like he was looking for someone or something that could explain the strange feeling. Priya didn't know what he saw in the photos, but she felt a little bit of hope. A glimmer that maybe, just maybe, he was starting to remember her. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe, like and comment for the next part.